We played the ritual game from Reddit. The rules didn't mention what happens after. They told us not to play it. Buried deep in a dead subreddit, some old thread from 2014, the reflection game. 10 steps, 1 mirror. No second chances. I remember laughing at the rules like they were creepypasta trash, until midnight came, until the mirror bled. Now it's 3:23 in the morning and my reflection is still moving, but I'm not. I locked the bathroom door 2 hours ago. I haven't blinked once. If I do, it moves closer. I don't know if I'm hallucinating or if the game really worked, but I swear, its mouth just moved, and it said my name. If you're hearing this, I need you to subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because if you see your reflection smile when you don't, it's already too late. I first found the thread on a Tuesday night while scrolling half-drunk through abandoned horror forums, the kind filled with rusted-out urban legends and broken Imgur links. It was called The Reflection Game. Do not play. All caps, clickbait style. I clicked it anyway. The rules were simple. Too simple. You needed a mirror, a dark room, salt, a lighter, and something deeply personal. That last part felt performative, like it wanted to be edgier than it was. But the instructions didn't read like fiction. There were no spooky backstories, no blood-drenched warnings, just cold procedural steps, like a ritual meant for people who already believed. I skimmed the comments. Most of them dated years ago. A few said, "This isn't a joke." And one user warned, "If you hear your reflection breathe, break the mirror before it blinks." Another claimed his brother tried it and never spoke again. I didn't believe any of it, but I saved the post. That Friday, I was alone in my apartment. My roommate was gone for the weekend, and I had this itch, that kind of reckless curiosity you feel just before doing something you know you'll regret. I pulled out the bathroom mirror and unscrewed it from the wall, propping it upright in the living room on the floor. I killed the lights, closed the blinds, poured a line of salt around the mirror's edge. Then I lit the candle and set it behind me, just as the post instructed. I didn't feel scared, not yet. Just stupid, like the mirror was mocking me with my own face. I placed a photo of my younger sister on the floor in front of the glass. She died 4 years ago. That was my deeply personal item. I still don't know why I chose it. Maybe I wanted proof, or forgiveness. I repeated the phrase from the thread. I am ready to see the truth beneath my skin. 3 times. Nothing happened. I sat there watching my reflection in flickering candlelight. The silence grew thick, like it was pressing into my ears. 5 minutes passed, maybe 10. I checked my phone, no signal. Odd, but not impossible. Then the candle flickered violently, though there was no draft. That's when I noticed something subtle. My reflection was breathing heavier than I was. I stared, watched my chest, matched my rhythm, inhale, exhale, but the reflection kept going. Shallow breaths, fast, like it was panicking, like it was mimicking how I felt on the inside. I leaned closer. So did it, but slower. That's when it blinked. I didn't. I recoiled and kicked the mirror, but it didn't shatter. The salt line broke, though. The candle went out. Darkness swallowed the room. I scrambled to my feet, using my phone's flashlight to find the switch. I flicked it on. Harsh yellow light filled the space. The mirror showed nothing. Just me, as I was. Pale, shaken, alone. I told myself it was a trick of the light, that I blinked and didn't realize. That panic made my memory unreliable. I rescrewed the mirror back into the bathroom wall and went to bed. But I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my own face staring back at me from behind the glass. Breathing faster, tilting its head, not blinking. At 3:40 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. I didn't turn on the light. I didn't look at the mirror. But as I flushed and reached for the doorknob, I heard it. A breath, right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The mirror was still. My reflection, calm, normal. I leaned in again, and for a fraction of a second, I swear, the reflection smiled. Just barely. Just enough. I backed out slowly, closed the bathroom door, and wedged a chair under the handle. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, I had almost convinced myself none of it happened. That I'd imagined the smile, that the blinking was me hallucinating under low light and stress. I didn't touch the mirror, didn't open the Reddit thread. I pushed it all down like a bad dream, until the following night, when the mirror moved on its own. I was brushing my teeth. The reflection did everything I did, until I put the toothbrush down. Then it didn't. It kept brushing, 5 slow strokes, then stopped, and looked up at me, directly into my eyes. The brain is good at lying to itself, at rewriting things just enough to survive the next moment. I spent that morning pacing around the apartment, talking myself down like a therapist with a gun to his own head. It's stress. You're tired. You didn't actually see it move. I didn't go back to the bathroom, not at first. Instead, I texted my roommate, Mason, and asked when he'd be back. He said Sunday night, 2 full days. I almost told him to come home early, but I knew how that would sound. Hey bro, my mirror is brushing its teeth without me. No, I wasn't ready to say that out loud. Still, something gnawed at me. The timing was wrong. The way it smiled, that thin, off-angle smile like it didn't quite understand the mechanics of a face. That wasn't a dream. That wasn't me projecting grief or lack of sleep. I saw it, but I did what any rational person would. I made a cup of coffee, sat on the couch, and pulled up the Reddit thread again. Most of the comments were gone. Deleted users, removed accounts. Error 403 pages. The top comment now simply read, "If you've played it and you're reading this, it's already watching." I clicked out, shut my laptop. I was spiraling and I knew it, so I went outside. Walked 6 blocks in cold wind without a jacket, just to reset. I grabbed a sandwich, some beer, even picked up a pack of salt on a whim. It felt stupid, but also like armor. I told myself I'd pour another line if I had to, that maybe I'd even smash the mirror after a few drinks and laugh at how far I let my mind run. But when I got home, the salt was already there. My unopened pack, already open. Sitting on the kitchen counter, torn clean across. A trail of white granules led from the countertop to the bathroom door. I stared at it for what felt like minutes, trying to reverse engineer some sane explanation. Maybe I dropped it. Maybe the bag had a factory tear and spilled on its own. But deep down, I knew the truth. Something took it. I walked to the bathroom door. It was closed, the chair still wedged under the handle, same as I left it. I leaned in, listening. Silence. Then, a faint rhythmic sound. Brushing, scrape, scrape, scrape. No water running, no fan. Just that slow, deliberate sound, like bristles dragging over porcelain. I backed away. Didn't touch the door. That night I slept on the couch with the hallway light on, and my phone flashlight aimed at the mirror's door. I kept waking up every 20 minutes to check if it had opened. It hadn't. But the salt trail was gone, swept up, every grain. I hadn't touched it. The next morning, I told myself I was going to end it. Smash the mirror, burn the photo I'd used, cleanse the apartment with sage or Google whatever ritual would cancel this. But first I had to see. I moved the chair, opened the bathroom door slowly. Daylight spilled in through the frosted window. Everything looked normal. The mirror was fine, no cracks, no fog. But taped to the bottom edge, where the frame met the tile, was a photo I hadn't seen in years. Me and my sister, Emily, taken the summer before she died. She was wearing that stupid sunflower dress she hated, but Mom made her wear it for the church picnic. We were both laughing, and I remember that moment clearly because it was the last time she hugged me without crying. But here's the thing. That photo had been in my parents' house, in a sealed photo album. I hadn't touched it since her funeral. I pulled it off the glass. On the back, written in my handwriting, but not mine, were 5 words. "She's not where you buried her." My stomach twisted. I dropped the photo, backed out of the room again. That night I drank, not to sleep, to not feel, but even drunk, even dizzy, I couldn't stop hearing that brushing sound. The scrape of bristles, the wet click of teeth. I locked the bathroom door again and piled books against it, anything with weight. Then I covered every mirror in the apartment, even the microwave's black glass panel, even my phone's selfie camera. I didn't want to see my own face, not until I knew what part of it was still mine. Around midnight I heard tapping, light, delicate, like a fingernail. It came from the bathroom. Then it moved. Tap, tap, tap. Now the hallway. Tap, tap. Now the living room window. But when I looked, no one was there. Just a long smudge on the inside of the glass, shaped like a finger. I stayed awake until dawn. Watched the smudge disappear as the sun rose, like it was made of fog. By morning, I'd convinced myself again. Sleep paralysis. Alcohol, grief hallucinations, and then my phone vibrated. No caller ID, just a voicemail. I hit play. It was a recording of me. But I wasn't talking. I was brushing my teeth. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Then a voice, not mine, whispered, "Open the mirror again." I didn't play the voicemail a second time. I deleted it, then emptied the trash folder, then reset the phone, like scrubbing away digital blood. But even as I did it, I knew it wouldn't matter. I wasn't deleting anything. I was just pretending to be in control of something that had already passed the point of control. I didn't sleep that night. The lights stayed on. Every mirror in the apartment remained covered. Towels, duct tape, even a shirt I stapled to the bathroom door. But I still heard it. The brushing, the whispers, the low, almost affectionate tap on the glass. Like it wasn't trying to scare me. Like it was trying to get in. The next day, I drove to my parents' house. They lived just outside of Whitehall, near the river. Quiet neighborhood, retired neighbors. The kind of place where nothing bad ever happens, unless you're already carrying the rot inside you. My mom was surprised to see me. She hugged me, offered coffee, said I looked pale. I lied, said work was stressful, said I just wanted to look through some old albums. Her smile faltered. "You dreaming about her again?" I froze. "About Emily." She nodded slowly. "The week before your sister died, you were acting the same way. Quiet, sleep-deprived, jumping at shadows. You used to say someone was in the mirror back then too, remember?" No, I didn't. I felt my throat tighten. "I said that?" "You were only 13, she replied. "But yeah, you wouldn't go near the bathroom for days. I found a line of salt on the floor once. Thought it was just part of your grief. Maybe your brain trying to protect you." Something shifted in my stomach. Like the memory was there, buried but waterlogged and slippery. I asked if I could see the photo albums. She pointed me to the hallway closet. I sat cross-legged on the carpet, flipping through old pages. Birthdays, Halloween costumes, camping trips, all perfectly preserved in laminated sleeves. I found the picture, the one taped to the mirror. Emily in the sunflower dress, smiling beside me. Still tucked in the album, exactly where it should have been. Which meant the copy in my apartment was made, replicated. I pulled the photo out. On the back, it was blank, no handwriting. I told my mom I needed some air and stepped outside. I called Mason. He didn't answer. I texted, "Call me ASAP. It's serious. It's about Emily." He still hasn't responded. That night I slept in my childhood room. My parents had left everything the same. Posters, books, even the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. But the mirror on the dresser was uncovered. And the moment the lights went out, I felt it watching me again. This time, I didn't just hear brushing. I heard Emily's voice. She was singing. That same off-key lullaby Mom used to hum to us when we were sick. Only this version slowed at the end, like the voice was smiling through its teeth. I turned on the light. Nothing there. My reflection looked normal, but the room still felt full. The next day, I drove back to the apartment. I found Mason's bedroom door open. He never leaves it open. Inside, his closet door was off its hinges. Salt was spilled in a perfect circle around a hand mirror lying face up on the carpet. Beside it, a sticky note in his handwriting. I think I saw Emily. My chest went cold, not from fear, from grief. He didn't know her. He never even met her. So how did he write that? I picked up the mirror. My reflection stared back. Normal at first, but then the lights in the room seemed to dim, subtly, and the shadows behind my reflected self grew deeper. I blinked. So did it. But something else blinked behind it. Two pale eyes, wide and open, staring from the shadows behind my reflection's shoulder. I dropped the mirror. It didn't break. Just bounced once and came to rest flat against the rug, still catching my distorted face in its warped surface. That night I couldn't sleep. The brushing started again. Then I heard a voice. Not Emily's, not mine. Low, croaking, like something that forgot how to be human. It said, "She saw me first. Then she taught me your name." I grabbed the mirror and hurled it into the trash chute in the hallway. I didn't care if it shattered or cursed me further. But the brushing didn't stop. Nothing stopped. I began searching online, not for the Reddit thread, but for old death records, closed forums, strange obituary patterns, anything. I even dug up archived pages from forums that don't exist anymore. Then I found it, a photo, uploaded to an old image host, dated 1998. Two kids, one boy and one girl, sitting on a rug with a mirror between them. The caption read, "They said if you ask the mirror who remembers you, it shows you the one you forgot." The girl in the photo was Emily, and the boy was me. I stared at that photo for hours, zoomed in until the pixels bled. It was us, unmistakably. Me, maybe 7 years old, sitting cross-legged in front of a dusty hand mirror. Emily beside me, hands clasped in her lap, face lit by candlelight. But I had no memory of it. None. The post was anonymous, no context, no comments, just the image, uploaded nearly 3 decades ago. That made no sense. I didn't know how it got there, who posted it, or what "the one you forgot" meant. But I knew one thing. It wasn't a coincidence. That night, I tried calling Mason again. No answer. I texted him repeatedly, updates, warnings, even threats to call the cops. Still nothing. His location was disabled, socials silent, like he vanished. So I went to his girlfriend's apartment. Erin opened the door in sweats and a hoodie, eyes puffy. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "You hear about Mason?" I froze. "You've heard from him?" "No," she said quietly, stepping aside to let me in. "He was supposed to meet me 3 nights ago, never showed." I told her about the mirror, about the game, about what I saw in his room. I expected her to laugh, to kick me out, but she didn't. Instead, she walked to her bedroom, returned with a shoebox, and handed it to me without a word. Inside, 3 photos, each one torn from a scrapbook. All of Emily, all taken from our family albums. How do you have these?" I asked. "Mason started talking about her 2 weeks ago," she said. "Said he had dreams of a girl in a field of sunflowers. He couldn't explain it. Said it felt like a memory that didn't belong to him." I sat down slowly. He'd wake up crying. Erin continued. "Said she kept asking him to find you, that he was supposed to remember something for you. Then he started acting weird. He'd stare at the mirror in the hallway for hours. Said he could see someone breathing behind the glass." My throat dried. He said her name was Emily, but when I asked who she was, he'd freeze. Like he forgot. Then he'd say, "She's his, not mine." I felt like I was going to throw up. "Did he leave anything else?" I asked. She nodded and handed me his journal, a half-used composition book he kept for music ideas. The last few pages were filled with erratic handwriting, loops, symbols. Then finally, "I see what he forgot. I see the teeth behind the smile. I know now. I'm not me anymore. That was the last entry. I left Aaron's place shaking. When I got home, the apartment felt wrong. Too still, like the walls had been holding their breath. I opened the bathroom door, half expecting Mason to be in there, smiling in the mirror with glassy eyes. But no, just the covered mirror. No sounds, no salt, no brushing. Still, I didn't trust it. I slept with a kitchen knife beside the couch that night. At 3:52 a.m. I woke to whispering. Not outside, not from the mirror, from the ceiling. I turned on the light. Nothing. But the vent above me was open, the screws missing, and on the coffee table where I never put it sat a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it with numb fingers. Inside, a photo of Emily, her face scratched out, and beneath it in childlike handwriting, "You broke the rules. Now she's not yours either." I dropped it, backed away. That was the first time I felt it. True fear. Not panic, not dread. Something deeper, a recognition. I wasn't alone anymore. Something had stepped through, and it was rewriting my memories like paint on wet canvas. The next morning, I drove to my parents' place again. I needed answers, but they weren't home. Only the neighbor was outside, raking leaves. When I asked if he'd seen them, he gave me a confused look. "I thought they moved out years ago," he said. "That house has been empty since the funeral." I laughed. It wasn't funny, but it was the only thing I could do. "They're inside," I said. "I was just here 2 nights ago." He frowned. "Son, I've lived next door to that house since the 80s. No one's been in there since it was boarded up." I turned, looked at the house again. No boards, curtains drawn, the porch light was on. I ran up the steps and tried the door. Locked. Windows, dark. I called my mom's number. Disconnected. My dad's? Also disconnected. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos. No images from the visit. No record of messages. No text history. No calls. It was like I'd never been there. And then I remembered her words. "You were acting the same way before your sister died. You said someone was in the mirror." Had I been here? Or did something make me believe I had? Back at the apartment, I found a message written in condensation across the bathroom mirror. The towel had fallen. 4 words. "You look like him." That night, I opened every photo album I owned. In every picture where Emily once appeared, she was gone. Wiped clean, like she'd never existed. Except for one photo, the one I never took. 2 children, 1 mirror, and behind them, in the glass, a third figure, tall, smiling, watching. I stopped trusting my own memory after that. I'd wake up in places I didn't remember falling asleep. Doors would be locked or unlocked without explanation. Whole hours vanished from my phone log. Photos deleted, calendar entries gone. My own handwriting started to look unfamiliar, more curled, more childlike. I set up cameras, 3 of them. 1 in the hallway, 1 in the bathroom, 1 facing the mirror directly. The footage from that night showed nothing unusual at least, until the hallway feed glitched around 3:15 a.m. For exactly 24 seconds, static washed over the screen. Then, frame by frame, something appeared in the background. A figure. No face. Just the outline of a person standing in the corner, reflected in the glass of the hallway photo frame. It didn't move. It didn't look up. It just existed, like it had always been there. I paused it, rewound, watched again. This time the static whispered, low, guttural syllables I couldn't understand. I cranked the volume, turned it up loud enough to shake the walls, and then I heard her. Emily's voice. Not screaming, not crying, singing. That lullaby again. The one from when we were kids, but it was slowed down, drawn out like a funeral hymn. Behind her voice, something else spoke. A second voice, male, distorted, repeating one word again and again. Closer. I deleted the file, all of it, but it didn't stop. The next morning, I woke with a mouthful of salt. Not metaphorically, literal grains on my tongue, coating the inside of my mouth, dry and bitter. I ran to the bathroom. My reflection was normal, but the sink was full of teeth, human teeth. Dozens of them, scattered like broken porcelain, each one clean, polished, some still with roots. I stumbled back, slammed the door shut. When I opened it again 10 seconds later, they were gone. No salt, no teeth, nothing. Just the sound of a toothbrush hitting porcelain. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I didn't even own that toothbrush anymore. I started receiving texts, not from numbers, from my own contacts list. Emily, Mason, even Aaron. But when I opened the messages, they were full of symbols I couldn't read. Jagged spirals, inverted question marks, glyphs that looked like teeth. At 2:44 a.m., I got a voice memo. Just breathing. Except it wasn't mine, wasn't Emily's, wasn't human. Something wet and slow, like lungs that had forgotten how to breathe air. Slippery clicks between gasps. I smashed my phone, physically, against the counter, shattered the screen and pulled the SIM. Didn't matter. The breathing continued, this time from inside the vents. By then, the mirror was uncovered again. I don't know when the towel fell off. I never touched it. I never heard it fall. But it lay perfectly folded on the floor, like someone took their time placing it there. I didn't approach it, didn't speak, but my reflection did. It mouthed something, again, and again, and again. I couldn't hear it, but I didn't need to. Let me in. That night, I found the closet door ajar. I never leave it open. Inside, I found Emily's sunflower dress, hanging from a wire hanger. Dry, pressed, still smelling like the old cedar from our childhood closet. But it was impossible. My parents donated her clothes after the funeral. I watched them carry the boxes out myself. I touched the fabric, cold. Then I heard my own voice behind me. Why did you forget her? I spun. No one, just the mirror. But my reflection wasn't me anymore. It was 13-year-old me, pale, barefoot, eyes hollow. He lifted his hand slowly, then pressed a finger to the glass. Behind him, Emily, smiling. Her eyes were pitch black. The image didn't move like video. It moved like memory, slippery, quiet, full of static around the edges, like a memory I didn't choose to remember. I ran to the front door. It wouldn't open. Deadbolt jammed. I broke a window, climbed out barefoot into the cold, spent the night in my car, engine off, doors locked. Still, around 3 a.m., the rearview mirror fogged up from the inside. When I wiped it clean, a message was written in the condensation. She remembers. Do you? I started driving the next day. Nowhere in particular. Just away, motel to motel. Gas stations, cheap coffee, no mirrors. And yet, in every bathroom I tried, something followed. Lights flickering, brushing sounds, cold air that stank of old pine sap and rust. And once, in a motel in Ohio, I swear to God I heard her laugh. Soft, joyful, not menacing, but wrong, because it was coming from the sink drain. That night, I dreamed of our old house, me and Emily in the hallway, playing some game. She was holding a mirror, asking me to say something I didn't understand. I refused. She cried. I turned away. And then something else stepped through the mirror. It didn't speak. It smiled. Just like I do now sometimes, without meaning to. I woke up with a mouthful of water, gasping, choking, still lying on the motel bed. No puddle, no leak, just soaked sheets and the taste of the lake behind our childhood home. The motel manager found me at dawn, curled in the corner of the room, shivering and barefoot, walking. I lied. Said I had a condition. Said it happens sometimes when I forget my meds. He didn't push. Just handed me a towel and told me checkout was at 11. I didn't stay that long. I drove west without thinking, past truck stops, burnt cornfields, a dead-eyed Walmart that looked identical to the one near my childhood town. I didn't eat, barely drank water. I couldn't risk looking into reflective surfaces. not even to check my own eyes. I pulled over at a rest stop just past the state line. No one else was there, just the hum of insects and the hollow wind through dead trees. I looked at my hands. They were shaking, pale. One of my fingernails was gone. I don't remember losing it. That was the first time I really understood. I wasn't haunted. I was being peeled away, layer by layer. Something was wearing me down, or wearing me. I found a gas station that sold disposable phones, bought one. First number I called was Aaron's, straight to voicemail. Then I tried Mason's number again. It rang, once, twice, then a click, but no one spoke. Just a low static hum. Then, faintly, the sound of brushing, slow, rhythmic. Then a voice, quiet, like it was pressing its mouth right up to the speaker. You left her in the dark. Click. I didn't call again. Instead, I drove until I found an old roadside church. Wooden beams, cracked stained glass, a rusting bell that looked like it hadn't rung in years. Inside, it was empty. No priest, no congregation, just pews and dust and silence thick as syrup. I sat in the back and tried to pray. I hadn't prayed since Emily's funeral, but all I could think to say was, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to forget her." The candles on the altar flared. Then, one by one, they blew out. No wind, no windows open. Just me and the dark. Something creaked behind me. I turned, expecting to see nothing. But there, just beyond the entrance, stood a figure. Not the tall one, not the smiling one. It was Emily, but her dress was soaked. Her arms hung limply, her head tilted at a sharp, unnatural angle. She mouthed something. I couldn't hear it. Then she pointed, past me, toward the altar. I turned slowly, and in the cracked reflection of the old stained glass, I saw the mirror again, the one from our living room when we were kids. Only this time, it was inside the church, inside the glass. I ran, didn't look back. I left the church and didn't stop driving until my gas light came on. I pulled off into a gravel driveway near a line of woods. The GPS said nothing, no address, just blank space. That's when I noticed the sign, faded, nailed to a tree. Miller Cabins, closed seasonally. I didn't remember how I found it, or why I pulled in. The cabin was abandoned, windows boarded, lock rusted, but the door creaked open with a hard shove. Inside, dust hung like smoke. Everything smelled of old pine and forgotten time, but it felt right, like I'd been here before. There were drawings on the walls, children's crayon marks, stick figures beside crude square mirrors. One was labeled Emily. I turned away. That night, I tried not to sleep, but exhaustion drags you eventually. I woke up to footsteps above me, but there was no second floor, just the roof. Then, knocking, not at the door, not the windows, under the floorboards. Tap, 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 and then, singing. From inside the walls, Emily's lullaby, slower than ever now. I picked up my bag. I was ready to leave. I didn't care where I went next, just away. But when I opened the front door, it wasn't night anymore. It was nothing. Just black, like the world had vanished and only the cabin remained. I turned around. The mirror was back, in the center of the room, no frame, no stand, just floating there, and reflected in it. Me, smiling, but behind my reflection, the tall thing, its arms wrapped around my shoulders like it was wearing me as a coat, its mouth just above my ear, moving, mouthing something I couldn't hear but could feel. I ran to the corner, covered my eyes. I screamed until my throat bled. When I opened them again, the mirror was gone. The cabin door open, dawn outside, and a photo nailed to the wall beside me. Me and Emily. Only this time she wasn't smiling. She looked afraid, and my eyes were completely black. I took the photo with me, folded it twice, slipped it into my jacket pocket with hands I barely recognized, filthy, trembling, skin cracked at the knuckles. As I walked back to the car, the world felt hollow. Not quiet, hollow. like the air had been emptied of something essential. The drive out of the woods took longer than it should have. Roads looped, trees repeated. At one point, I passed the same dead raccoon 3 times, its mouth open in a silent scream, flies too still around it. Then, my phone vibrated. It shouldn't have. The SIM was gone, but the screen lit up anyway. One new message, no number, just 3 words. We buried her. I stopped the car, pulled over, opened the message. Attached was a photo, a grainy, time-stamped image, dated nearly 15 years ago. A clearing in the woods. 2 figures, barely visible, standing over something freshly dug. One tall, one small. A child, holding a shovel. The child was me. The tall figure. I didn't recognize. It didn't have a face. My hands started shaking so hard I dropped the phone. I knew that clearing. I didn't remember it, but I knew it. Somewhere near the old family lake house, abandoned after Emily's death. My parents never talked about it again, as if the whole place had been surgically removed from memory. I drove straight there. The lake was smaller than I remembered, choked with algae. The dock collapsed. The air smelled of rotting leaves and something sweet underneath, like spoiled sugar. I found the path, half erased by time, but still there beneath the brush. My feet knew where to go before my brain caught up. And then I was there, the clearing, exactly like the photo. No markers, no stones, just a soft depression in the earth, long overgrown. But the soil was wrong, darker, almost black, like it still remembered something warm being taken from it. I dropped to my knees and started digging. No shovel, just my hands. I didn't stop when the dirt turned cold, or when it started to stick to my skin like tar. I didn't stop when my nails split or when my breath started fogging in the dead summer air. I stopped when I touched wood, not a coffin, too thin, a box, about the size of a shoebox, wrapped in plastic and sealed with black twine. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking too much to untie it, so I bit the string, tore it loose. Inside, a mirror, handheld, cracked down the center. The same one from the photo with me and Emily. The same one from my dreams. There was something else too, beneath the mirror. A photo. Emily again. But not the one from our albums. Not the smiling sunflower dress version. This photo showed her curled in the corner of a room. Pale. Eyes wide with terror. Mouth open as if mid-scream. A caption scrawled on the back in red ink. She tried to send it back. You stopped her. My vision blurred. The wind picked up, fast and unnatural. Branches bent toward me. Not in the wind, but toward me, like they were watching. I stood and turned to leave, and that's when I saw it. The tall thing. Not behind me, not in the trees, in the mirror. I wasn't holding it anymore. It was hovering in the air beside me, reflecting an image that wasn't real. Me, standing in the clearing, face blank. And the thing, wrapped around me like a shadow, its face brushing my neck, and my mouth, smiling. But I wasn't. Then I remembered something. A memory I hadn't allowed myself to have. That night, the one we never talked about. The last night I saw Emily. She'd woken me up. She said, "It followed me." She was crying. She said, "I saw it in the mirror, and now it won't go back." She begged me to help her, finish the ritual. I didn't understand. I got scared. I yelled for Mom. And when Mom came, Emily was gone. They said she wandered into the woods alone, that they found her in the lake. But I remembered now. I saw her in the mirror again the next day. I saw her trying to pull something back through the glass. I saw something holding her there, and I turned away. I turned away and told no one. And now, the thing that took her had found me. Because I remembered. I turned away from the mirror in the clearing, closed the box, buried it again. It didn't matter. The mirror had already followed me back. That night in the motel, I woke to find it sitting on the nightstand. The same one, same crack, and etched into the glass now, so faint I almost missed it. was a single line. Blood forgets, glass remembers. The mirror wouldn't leave. No matter where I put it, no matter how far I drove, it always came back. I left it in the motel room, drove 4 towns west, stayed in a gas station parking lot. When I woke up, it was sitting on the passenger seat, cracked glass catching the first sliver of dawn. I tried throwing it in a river, watched it sink. 3 hours later, it was in my backpack, wrapped in a towel I didn't pack. I stopped sleeping, I stopped eating. Every reflective surface started whispering. Not out loud, at first. It was more like a pressure behind my ears, a voice forming words just beneath the threshold of sound. And then, eventually, I could hear it. Sometimes Emily, sometimes me, sometimes the tall thing, the one with no face, just teeth that never stopped smiling, even when the lips didn't move. The messages were always the same. Finish what you started. She gave you her place. You are the door now. I thought I was going mad, but then in one of the motels, an old roadside dive with water stains on the ceiling and a sagging mattress, I saw her again. Emily, not a ghost, not a hallucination. Real, standing in the corner of the room, barefoot, her dress still soaked, eyes rimmed in black. Her lips moved, no sound, so I sat still, focused. Read her mouth. He's inside you now. I wanted to scream, but she stepped closer and placed her hand, cold and shaking, on my chest. Suddenly, I was somewhere else. Back in the house we grew up in the living room, that mirror between us. She was older now, older than she ever lived to be. I was kneeling across from her, and she was saying something about a choice, about offering instead of banishing, about balance. She looked terrified. You have to choose, she said. Choose what? I asked. She pointed to the mirror. Inside it, the tall thing grinned. Then she held up a second mirror, smaller, clean. This one's empty, she said. It needs one of us to hold him. I didn't understand. My voice cracked. But I don't want to. She started crying. I didn't either. The memory collapsed. I woke up choking on water again, except this time it wasn't a dream. My mouth was full. My lungs burned. I staggered to the bathroom and coughed up lake water onto the motel floor. And then I saw it. In the mirror. Emily. In the corner again, holding the small mirror in her hand, smiling, but not kindly, knowingly. She mouthed something new. You already chose. Behind her, the tall thing pressed its hands against the glass from the inside, like it was trying to crawl out of her mirror and into mine. The glass groaned, cracked. Then my phone rang. It was Erin. My breath caught. I hadn't heard her voice in days, maybe weeks. I found Mason, she said, but he's not him. I couldn't speak. He just sits in the bathroom now, all day, lights off, staring at the mirror. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. He smiles like you. That's when I knew. I wasn't the only door. This thing, whatever it was, had been using mirrors like anchors, like keys. It moved between people through their reflections, but it needed something to hold it in place, something personal, something broken. Guilt, memory, blood. Emily had tried to seal it inside herself and failed. Now it was my turn. And the only way to end it was to choose who to give it to next. I stayed in that motel room for hours, thinking, praying, bleeding, because my fingernails had started falling off one by one. Always at 3:23 a.m., the mirror just sat there, waiting. That night, I made the call. I drove back to the clearing, dug up the original box, set both mirrors side by side, the cracked one, the empty one, and I stared at my reflection. It stared back, still smiling, even though I wasn't. Then it began to speak, without sound, its voice in my head now. Choose or stay. Forever. I looked at the photo of Emily, then at the reflection of the tall thing behind me, and then at my hands, my real ones, Still mine, but not for long. There was no banishment, no ritual, only transfer. I picked up the empty mirror, held it against my chest, and whispered, "I remember her now." The thing inside me screamed, not out loud, but in my bones. It writhed, twisted, begged, but the choice was made. The mirror drank it like water. The screaming stopped. The clearing went still. For the first time in weeks, I felt cold wind on my skin again. Real, not staged, not stolen from memory. It was done, or so I thought. As I turned to leave, the mirror in the dirt, the cracked one, shuddered. And then it spoke, my voice, whispering from the glass. "You only delayed it." I drove until the gaslight came on. Didn't matter where I was headed, just that it was away from that place, from the clearing, from the mirrors, from the thing I'd sealed, if that's even what I'd done. The wind through the window felt real again. My hand stopped shaking. My breath no longer tasted like old copper and salt. For the first time in what felt like years, I didn't hear brushing, or whispering, or my own voice coming from a place it shouldn't. It felt like escape. But dread is clever. It doesn't scream when it's close. It waits. I made it to a rest stop by dusk, remote. One vending machine, one flickering security light. I parked far from the building, stepped out into the cold and stared at my reflection in the side window of the car. Still me. No smiles, no shadows, no thing behind me, grinning with borrowed teeth. I dared to breathe. Inside the rest stop bathroom, I checked the mirror. Nothing. Just exhaustion. Sunken eyes, split lips, dirt under nails that used to be mine. I splashed water on my face and laughed a little. It was over. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something written on the inside of the stall door, etched in with something sharp. "They always leave someone behind." The door creaked open behind me. No one there, just the sound of brushing, slow, wet, familiar. But the mirror hadn't changed. Still just me, still just the room. I walked backward out of the bathroom. Didn't turn around until I was outside, under that flickering light. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Erin. I nearly dropped it when I saw her name. I answered immediately. "Erin?" Silence. Then, "Mason's gone." I felt the world shift beneath me. He said he was going to finish it. He took the old mirror with him. I swallowed. Did he say where? Somewhere near a lake. He said it started there. My heart froze. The lake, the clearing, the box. He was going back. I started the car. Didn't even think. Just turned around and drove east again, back toward the place I had barely survived, back toward the origin, back to Emily. I reached the clearing just after midnight. My headlights caught Mason standing by the dug-up hole, but he wasn't alone. In his hand was the cracked mirror, and behind him, I froze. Behind him stood something tall, wrong, blurry around the edges, like it didn't fully belong in the shape it was using. It was touching his shoulder, like it had claimed him. I got out of the car slowly, raising my hands. "Mason, don't." He turned, but his eyes were wrong, too wide, too still, smiling. "The door never closes," he said calmly. "It just chooses new hallways." I stepped closer. "You don't have to do this. I sealed it. It's over." He laughed, a sound like glass cracking under weight. "No, you passed it." He held up the mirror. "You passed part of it." I felt it before I saw it. The second mirror, the one I'd buried again, was back in my car, visible through the rear window, reflecting me, and behind me, her, Emily. Not the child version, not the dream, but the thing she'd become. Her eyes black pits, leaking water. Her mouth sewn shut with invisible thread, stretching into a crooked smile. "Mason," I whispered, stepping back. "Please." He looked at the cracked mirror, then at me, then calmly, deliberately, he turned it toward his face. "No!" I screamed. The wind screamed with me. The trees bent inward like ribs closing around us. The air imploded. Then everything went still. Mason dropped to his knees. The mirror shattered in his hands, slicing both palms. He looked up, his mouth opened. But it wasn't him speaking anymore. It was her. Emily's voice. A single word. "Why did you leave me?" And then he fell. Hard. Unmoving. I ran to him. Checked his pulse. Alive. But his eyes stared straight through me, as if he didn't recognize the shape of my face anymore. I tried to lift him. Tried to carry him to the car. But when I turned, the mirror was gone. Not broken. Not buried. Gone. And Mason, he whispered something I'll never forget. 3 words. From my voice. From inside his throat. "You're next door." I didn't sleep after Mason collapsed. I drove him to the nearest emergency room, but by the time I arrived, he was already gone. Not dead. Empty. He sat motionless in the passenger seat, breathing shallow, eyes glassy. When the nurse asked me his name, he didn't respond. Not even when I said it aloud. He didn't remember it. Didn't remember me. Didn't remember Emily. Just stared at his reflection in the hospital window as they wheeled him away. That was the last time I saw him. By morning, I was alone again. Except I wasn't. The moment I stepped back into the apartment, I felt it. Thick, heavy, like the air wasn't air anymore, but breath. It's breath. Everything was just slightly wrong. The walls too close, the angles off, the hallway longer than I remembered. Every reflective surface covered, yet I still felt watched. When I passed the bathroom, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, the mirror was uncovered, clean, waiting. I should have walked away. I should have burned the whole place down. But I stepped in, faced it, and this time, it didn't show me. Not directly. At first, it showed Emily. Younger than the last time I saw her, but not a child, maybe 17. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, looking into the mirror, her eyes full of sorrow. She spoke, but I couldn't hear. The glass fogged. Behind her, something began to emerge. Not a person, a presence, looming. It rose from behind her like smoke, like rotting cloth soaked in shadow. No face, no mouth, just rows of teeth where a smile should be. Teeth and eyes. Thousands, all blinking at different intervals. Then the image shifted. I saw the first time it had entered our lives. That summer, the game, the circle of salt. Emily drawing symbols in chalk on the basement floor while I watched cartoons upstairs. She hadn't just played the game, she'd finished it. And when it came through, she tried to send it back. But I interrupted her. I ruined the seal. Because I was scared. Because I thought she was talking to herself again. She screamed at me not to look in the mirror. I did anyway. That was the moment it saw me. The moment it marked me. And it waited. Waited through Emily's death. Waited through grief. Waited for the mirror to return. It didn't need to move. It only needed to be seen. That was the rule I'd never read. It wears who sees it. I staggered back from the mirror, gasping. The walls around me breathed. Inhale, exhale. The lights dimmed. A hum built in the pipes. A low vibrating frequency that turned into a voice. Not Emily's. Not mine. It's. You remember now. I turned to run. But the hallway stretched like taffy, the door at the end unreachable. The apartment was folding in on itself. The mirrors I had covered were now uncovered, and every single one smiled. Even the ones without faces, even the glass in the microwave, even the sheen on the faucet, all of them, smiling back. You carried me, the voice said, for years. I grew inside your forgetting. The mirror in the living room cracked. A long, slow fracture that split my reflection straight down the middle. But only my side. The reflection stayed whole, grinning. I am not a ghost, it said. I am not a curse. I am the story you buried. And now, you are hollow enough. The room began to freeze. I watched frost grow from the center of the floor outward, crawling up the walls, blooming across the windows. Then I felt it. Inside my chest, something shifting, moving beneath my ribs. I couldn't breathe. I fell to the floor, convulsing, eyes wide, and in the glass of the TV screen I watched as my mouth slowly began to smile, uncontrollably, teeth stretching further than they should. Blood dripped down my chin, but I wasn't screaming, not outside, only inside, because the thing was wearing me now, slipping into my body like a second skin. A hand reached out from the mirror, my hand, and it touched my shoulder and whispered, "You're ready." Then everything went dark. For a moment, I thought I had died. But when I opened my eyes, I was standing in the bathroom, staring at my reflection. Everything looked normal, perfectly normal. But something was off, because I blinked and my reflection didn't. I stopped leaving the apartment after that. What was the point? I knew the truth now. The thing in the mirror hadn't haunted me. It hadn't possessed me. It had become me. Quietly, slowly, piece by piece. It didn't need a ritual, not anymore. Just proximity, memory, grief. Every time I blinked, it moved a little closer. And eventually, I blinked long enough for it to step in. I still looked like myself. I still spoke in my voice. But something was missing. A weight behind the eyes. The spark that made thoughts feel mine. And in its place, silence. Not peaceful. Hollow. I tried to fight it, at first. Screamed into pillows, punched the mirror. But the cracks only multiplied across my skin, not the glass. Every mirror I looked into now showed the same thing. Me, standing still, smiling just slightly. Behind me, shadows that bent the wrong way. The neighbors started avoiding me. Even the guy with the dog, the one who always waved when we passed in the hall, he wouldn't meet my eyes anymore. Maybe he saw it too, or maybe the thing had already moved to him. That's how it works, doesn't it? Like a virus. Passed through glances, shared through stories, spoken in whispers through glass. Sometimes I'd sit in front of the mirror for hours, trying to catch the reflection slipping. Sometimes it did, like when it smiled just a beat too early, or when it mouthed words I wasn't saying. Like the night I looked into the hallway mirror and saw my reflection lean toward me, without me moving. It whispered, "She stayed because you didn't." I smashed that one too, didn't matter. By morning, it was whole again. I tried burning it, didn't even blacken. I tried checking myself into a psych ward. They kept me for 48 hours, released me because I presented no signs of immediate harm. I told them about the thing in the mirror. They gave me Ativan and a pamphlet about grief trauma. The only one who seemed to believe me was a janitor. Old guy, white beard, never gave me his name. He caught me staring into the stainless steel sink one night. "You see it, don't you?" he said. I froze. He nodded toward the reflection. "Been here a long time. Always looking for cracks to pour through." "What is it?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away, just said, "Doesn't matter what it is, only what it wants." "And what does it want?" "To be remembered." Then he walked away. That night, the sink whispered my name. I went home, barricaded the bathroom, turned every mirror backward, turned off my phone, smashed my laptop screen. Still, the TV turned itself on at 3:23 a.m. Static. Then a reflection. Not mine. Emily's. She looked older now, worn, tired. But she stared into the camera and said, "It doesn't want your soul, it wants your shape. And then, if you don't leave it behind, it becomes you." That was when I understood. The thing I buried in the woods, the thing I sealed in the mirror. It was never just one entity. It was a reflection of the absence I created. A shape made of everything I refused to face. My guilt, my fear, my memory of her drowning and my silence that followed. I didn't banish it. I fed it, with every denial, every forgotten truth, every story I told myself to sleep at night. I looked at my hands. They weren't mine anymore. Too pale, too still. Nails regrown, but Off, smooth and colorless. No fingerprints, just smudged flesh. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, pressed it to my palm. No blood, just something gray, dusty, like ashes mixed with oil. I stared at the mirror, the real me, if it was still in there, looked back once, just once, eyes wide, pleading, and then gone, swallowed by the smile. That's when I made the decision. I wasn't going to run. I wasn't going to seal it away again, because that's how it spreads. It waits for the seal to crack, for the next grief, for the next face. So I sat in front of the mirror, lit a single candle, and stared, for hours, until I felt it rise in me fully. And then I said its name. I don't remember saying it. I only remember the taste, bitter metal and rotting flowers. The glass pulsed like a heartbeat, and then I told it, take me, just me, no one else. Everything went dark. I woke up 3 days later, in a different room. My apartment, but wrong. Walls blank, mirror gone, no windows, only my reflection, in every surface, always smiling. And now I sit here, telling you this, because I need you to understand. This story isn't over, because if you're hearing it, you've already seen yourself in the dark. You've already looked a second too long. You've already felt that cold air brush your neck when you thought you were alone. And you've already started to forget her name. The mirror is gone now. Not broken, not sealed, just gone. And that's worse, because I no longer know where it is, only that it's not with me anymore, which means it's with someone else. I can't remember how long I've been here. This apartment feels like mine, but the layout changes when I'm not looking. The hallway stretches and contracts. The light switches flicker even when they're off. Sometimes I wake up facing the corner, hands clasped behind my back like a marionette waiting for a cue. There's no calendar, no clocks, only reflections. Windows that don't open, TVs that turn on without sound, and in every surface, me, smiling, even when I'm not. Especially when I'm not. You might think this is some kind of psychotic break, that I lost my grip on reality, that everything that happened with Emily, Mason, the mirror, was grief run amok, some slow unraveling of a fragile mind. But that's not it, and I can prove it. Because sometimes, when I speak, my voice echoes, not through the walls, not through the room, but through someone else's screen. Sometimes I hear myself in other places, a reflection in someone else's life, a flicker on a call, a shadow that glitches when someone adjusts their webcam. I am in the mirrors now. Or maybe it is. Maybe there's no longer a difference. That's the part I'm struggling to hold on to. The boundary. What was once me has become a lens. What I see is filtered now, warped. Like I'm walking through glass that's always 1 second behind. Sometimes people pass me on the street and shudder. They don't know why. But I do. Their reflection doesn't follow them perfectly. Not anymore. One night I tested it. Stood in front of a mirror in a public bathroom. Waited for someone else to enter. They walked behind me washing their hands, fixing their collar. But in the mirror, they weren't there. Only me. And I was smiling at them, smiling for them. Sometimes when people take photos in crowds, I appear in the background, unintentionally, always blurry, always looking at the lens, even when no one else is. You may have already seen me, not recognized me, but seen me, in the periphery. A shape in the glass behind you when you brushed your teeth, a second silhouette when you walked past the store window, the reason your cat suddenly stared at the television screen with its back arched. I don't knock on walls anymore. I knock on memories. I tap on forgotten names. I live in the unfinished spaces inside your guilt. And if you've listened this far, if you've followed the story to the end, then something has already opened in you. The thing never wanted worship, never needed sacrifice. It only wanted to be shared, to echo, to copy, to step through again and again. Because it isn't a monster in the traditional sense. It doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to wear you. Softly, quietly, like a skin that fits better the longer you wear it. That's what happened to Emily, to Mason, to me, and maybe now, to you. Because you finished the story, and stories are mirrors. Once you reach the end, you see yourself in them. Clearly. Too clearly. You know that part of you that flinches when a mirror doesn't line up just right. That fleeting second when you swear your reflection moved slightly off rhythm. That's not imagination. That's the beginning. The first fracture. The first invitation. So I'll leave you with this. Don't check the mirror tonight. Not until you're sure you're alone. And when you do, take your time. Watch carefully. Wait for the smile. It will be yours. Until it isn't. And if you've ever seen your reflection blink when you didn't, if you've ever felt something watching you through your own eyes, leave a comment. Sometimes naming a thing is the only way to stop it from becoming you.